Then there were 7. The 3-team alliance is now down to 2-team alliance, and it appears that how you place in the previous week's race is the order in which you are allowed to start the next week's race. And since Tucker and Eric finished in first place last week, they were able to go first out of the gate this week. The first leg of the race was to get to the Arboretum and retrieve the first clue near Neptune's statue. The challenge there was that you had to know how to drive a manual car, and putting the car in reverse seemed difficult for several of the teams. And to me, it was very surprising that Jack and Jazz had difficulty reversing their car because they went on and on about how they owned these big rigs and they were licensed drivers. They actually had to resort to getting out of the car and pushing it in reverse, where they backed slightly into a fence. The first clue gave the option of bag it. This involved filling a wheelbarrow with enough salt and then filling 10 bags that were 20 to 21 pounds each and then hauling it to the checkpoint. And the challenge there was getting the weight right, properly using the sealing machine, and then wheeling through a large puddle of water and mud. The other option was pull it up, where they needed to row out to the middle of the body of water and then pull up 3 lines of oysters with a buoy and then take it to the nearby restaurant. The challenge there was successfully rowing the boat without losing the oar or steering quickly in the cold and the wind, which proved difficult for Kylan because he just could not get the oar to stay in place so that he could row the boat. But he finally figured it out and they were on their way. In the meantime, the only other person that chose that option was Rabina and Christina. All of the other teams chose to bag it. Izzy and Paige and Chelsea and Jack at this point were neck and neck in the race. And since Izzy realized that Chelsea and Jack were trying to follow their lead, Izzy then disguised the fact that they had actually found the clue and then began to act like they were still looking for it. Fortunately, Chelsea caught on and had her father pivot with her, and they began to look for the clue on their own. The next clue took them to Park Kamatra, where it was a test of navigating in memory, because the challenge here was finding all 3 spots which had 3 boards with 3 facts on them, and they had to memorize that board exactly, because if they missed one fact, they then had to go back, and once they returned, the questions changed, but that was unbeknownst to them. Taylor, not knowing this, she stumped herself because she thought she was going to be smart about it, and she only went to one fact board, went to get the questions, and thought that she would know what the questions are, and then she could go and do the other ones. But when she went back, she realized that the questions had changed, and when she realized that, let me tell you, she screamed so loud that I am sure all of Europe heard her scream. Jazz, on the other hand, did the same thing she did, thinking that he would get the questions first, but instead of going through the entire course, he just simply turned right back around and asked to be questioned, and then he found out that the questions were going to change. So once he found that out, then he went through the entire course and came back and he was successful. Once the other 2 teams arrived at that task, Adam and Joseph and then Natalie and Stephanie, they decided to team up and work together and memorize the facts together and then quiz each other before they went to go and hear what the 3 questions were. And it worked because they were able to get through it on the first attempt. But the snag came when they decided to take only one car. The guys decided to get the directions, and the girls went to get the car. However, Natalie could not find her way back to the boys, and after several attempts of trying to find them and shouting out their names out of the car, Stephanie tried to reason with Natalie and say to her that at some point you have to balance helping other with also trying to win the race. So Natalie really didn't want to do it because she wanted to stick with their alliance, but then she realized they couldn't find him, and so she finally moved on. When Joseph and Adam realized that the girls weren't coming back, they decided to go ahead and take their car and move on with the race. Now, here I thought that the alliance would be broken. But then when the girls and Joseph met up again, they explained to the guys that they couldn't find them, and the guys were very easygoing about it because they said that's okay, we understand. And then they solidified their alliance again. And in the meanwhile, Chelsea and Jack and Izzy and Paige were still running neck and neck. And at the roadblock, Izzy asked Jack to work together, but Jack declined. And I have to say that was a smart move because there was still another team behind him. And he realized that he couldn't really trust Izzy, so he went to do it himself. However, Izzy did complete the task just seconds before Jack, but still, this was a neck and neck race because Jack received better directions than Izzy, and that allowed them to reach the pit stop before Izzy and Paige. For the third week in a row, Tucker and Eric were first at the pit stop. I mean, they are on fire, just on fire. They are knocking these challenges out. They're able to get their directions. They're able to complete the task, and they're receiving all of these prizes for being in first place because you either receive a cash prize or a trip. And this week they received an Expedia 5-night trip to Cairo, Egypt. Listen, if they don't win the race, it's $1 million prize, they will come darn close to it in cash and prizes because they've already won trips twice and cash prizes twice. So it definitely does pay to come in first place because it seems you are either going to win the cash or you're going to win a trip. In second place goes to Jag and Jazz, followed by Joseph and Adam in third place. Unfortunately, Rubina and Catherine were eliminated as they were the last team to reach the pit stop. Next week proves to be way out of my league because one of the tasks is skydiving. Listen, I'm not a bird, I don't have wings, and I can't trust a parachute. So I would be disqualified, especially if both teammates had to participate in the skydiving. Well, this wraps up this week's review, and I hope you are enjoying my reviews. If you are, please, pretty please, give this video a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Until next week, it's Paprika out.